Paytm might have just found a way to replace the revenue stream that they lost after the RBI ordered them to shut down their payments bank due to non-compliance issues. So according to this Economic Times report, both Paytm and PhonePe are both thinking about using their Soundboxes to test out audio advertisements. Now, keep in mind this news has not been confirmed by either one of these two companies, so please do take it with a grain of salt, but there are estimated to be around 1 to 1.2 crore Soundboxes deployed across India right now, and more than 87 lakh of them belong to specifically Paytm. In other words, if this does end up becoming a reality and it's successful, it would definitely end up benefiting Paytm much more than any other player in this space. But how would these audio advertisements actually work? Well, as you probably know, if you've made any purchases around these Soundboxes, every time a transaction is completed, you'll hear a voice that informs the merchant about the transaction, the amount that was transacted. Now, after this voice confirmation is finished, the way these audio advertisements would work is that there would be 4 to 5 seconds allocated to brands where they would be able to play their own audio advertisements for customers. Now, if you're anything like me, you would probably find this pretty annoying and frustrating as a customer, listening to an advertisement every single time you make a transaction, but it looks like this might actually not be the case. You probably won't be hearing ads after every single transaction, but rather every 5 to 7 transactions. Paytm and PhonePe are both testing this out in a pilot phase where they've partnered with FMCG companies like, for example, Mondelez, the maker of Cadbury and Tata Consumer Products. And this is being rolled out right now in a limited capacity across a couple of cities in India. But we don't yet know exactly what the economics of this are going to look like, how big this market actually is, because it's a pretty new concept. But I will say that if Paytm can actually make this work, if these ads are genuinely effective and companies want to buy those ad slots because someone is there paying for something at the counter, they hear an advertisement, and that prompts them to go back down the aisle and pick that item up from the shelf, then this could definitely be a game changer for the company and also for PhonePe for that matter. But specifically when it comes to Paytm, it might help them to regain some of the revenue that they've lost. I'd love to get your thoughts on this in a comment down below. Not so much about whether or not you like this, because I think most of us probably would prefer less advertisements in our lives, not more, but rather, do you think that this is a good business move? Do you think that Paytm will actually be able to generate a meaningful amount of revenue from these ads, or do you think that this is just an experiment that's doomed to fail? Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. All right, next up in the news, but continuing to talk about Paytm here, they have resumed their lending business. Now, in case you've been out of the loop, they had actually paused their lending activities for the last 2 months after the whole Paytm Payments Bank fiasco. But now, according to this Money Control report, and this is not confirmed by the way, so take it with a grain of salt, it looks like Paytm is back into its lending business, and they partnered with SMFG India Credit and Shriram Finance for merchant loans. This is going to be a huge relief for Paytm, as according to one person quoted in this Money Control report, SMFG was actually Paytm's biggest lending partner, as almost 50% of their loan disbursements came through SMFG. That being said though, other lending partners are still playing it safe, they're cautious, and want to wait a little bit longer before they start lending through Paytm. All right, next up, I want to talk about a startup that's trying to rethink social media for this generation. So according to this report, more than 82% of people feel that social media is a waste of time. And this is mainly because people are getting overwhelmed with all of the random information that the algorithms on these platforms are throwing at them. And the ironic part about social media is that oftentimes we scroll through it endlessly, but we still don't find the right social group, the right peer group to discuss things with. And so this company Medial is solving this problem by building India's first professional networking social media platform, and it's going to focus on things that will help you grow professionally, things like startups, growth, and content around different topics like tech, design, and products that you might be interested in. And on top of all of that, if you're interested in startups, which if you're watching this video, then I'm guessing that you are, you can actually use this platform to find a co-founder, validate your startup idea, and get the latest funding, layoff, and tech news all in one place. Medial is even hosting a digital Shark Tank soon to award great ideas nationwide, and with over 25,000 users, they've created a tight-knit community for ambitious people. So if this platform sounds interesting to you and you want to go give it a try, check out the Medial app by clicking on the link in the description down below, and thanks so much to Medial for sponsoring this video. All right, next up in the news, this is just something that popped up on my radar randomly while I was going through Money Control articles, but I definitely think it's worth talking about. It's this incredible Pune-based startup called Glovatrix. So there are about 6.3 crore people in India who are deaf or suffer from some form of hearing loss, and the only way to speak with these people is through Indian Sign Language. And so people who can't use that sign language, who don't know how to use it, have to depend on an interpreter most of the time, but Glovatrix is a better solution. So check this device out. This is of course powered by AI, and it's also created by Glovatrix. It can translate sign language gestures to speech using a speaker and even text displayed on this screen, making it possible for a deaf person to communicate with pretty much anybody. But that's just the start, because they've also added a microphone which will translate what you're saying into text, which can be read by a deaf person on the screen on this device. In other words, the goal here is to make two-way communication not only possible, but actually seamless. And this product is still in the prototype stage. The company has secured 75 lakh rupees in grants, which they'll be using to bring this product to market soon. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the development of this product and its final version. All right, next up in the news, Byju Raveendran's net worth appears to have dropped to zero. So just last year, in 2023, he was sitting at 17,545 crore rupees in net worth. That's $2 billion. But according to Forbes Billionaire Index 2024, all of that has completely evaporated. He was literally sitting at zero right now. And I think his story is emblematic of the roller coaster ride that is being a startup founder, but his story is obviously very extreme. His highs have been very high, and his lows now have been very low. One day you're on top of the world, everybody's looking up to you, but then the next day you're going bankrupt and struggling to keep your startup from completely disappearing. And I think this story is also a harsh reminder of the risks for anyone who's looking to start up, especially someone who's maybe okay with cutting some corners and following the move fast, break things approach to business. Now, looking at Byju's, the company here, for a second, they fired another 500 employees as a part of their ongoing restructuring exercise, which started in October of 2023. And I do feel like we're witnessing the death of this company, and there isn't going to be a way to resuscitate Byju's. This is just my opinion, but this company was considered a beacon of India's startup ecosystem. At one point, it was the top Indian startup, at least in terms of value. And my only hope is that the rest of India's startup ecosystem will look at the story of Byju's, its massive rise and its massive crash, as an example of what not to do, that we'll all be able to learn from Byju's mistakes, and hopefully the ecosystem will come out stronger and more mature at the end of all of this. All right, next up in the news, this is just a quick update here. Crypto trading platform CoinSwitch's parent company, PeopleCo, has expanded its investing portfolio by launching a stockbroking platform called Lemonn. So CoinSwitch does have more than 2 crore users on its platform. They've raised more than $300 million from their investors, and they're a unicorn as well. But the company's revenue has declined by more than 80% in FY23, down to just 45.6 crore rupees from a high of almost 250 crore rupees in FY22. So it's very possible that Lemonn is an act of desperation on CoinSwitch's part. They're just trying to survive here, but there might still be an opportunity for them in this space, considering the fact that just 6% of Indians are investing in the stock market at this point. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. Does CoinSwitch's Lemonn have a place amongst the likes of Zerodha and Grow, or is this market already too saturated and they're going to struggle just to make this thing work as well? All right, next up in the news, Ola Electric continues to be the leader in sales for electric two-wheelers, doubling their sales from 1.53 lakh units in FY23 to 3.29 lakh units in FY24. Bhavish Agrawal also shared on X that the company has crossed 50,000 EV registrations in March of 2023, which is a first for the company. And also, they played an April Fool's prank on their users by fake launching their new product, which Bhavish called Ola Solo. And even though this product was just a prank, the video actually went viral, and Bhavish said that the features shown in Ola Solo are actually real. He was specifically talking about the autonomous driving and self-balancing tech shown in Ola Solo. So according to Bhavish, their teams are actually building prototypes based on these technologies, and they could actually be incorporated in future products. All right, now let's move to the funding news segment for today's video. So this week, Indian startups raised a total of $145 million, which is significantly less than last week's $240 million. Also, it's worth keeping in mind that this is the first funding week of the new financial year, FY24-25, which I'm just going to be calling FY25 going forward. And also, just a heads up, all of the information that I'm going to be sharing on the screen here, you can find links to in the description down below. So let's take a look at some of the companies that raised funds this week. So first of all, we have, of course, Bengaluru-based EV maker Ola Electric. They raised $50 million in debt. Then we have Gurugram-based SaaS platform Single Interface, which helps companies increase their digital presence through their hyperlocal marketing platform. And they raised $30 million in their first external funding round. Then after that, we have Jaipur-based NBFC Namdev Finvest, which is focused on providing loans to MSMEs. And they raised $19 million in their pre-Series C round. After that, we have Mumbai-based D2C hair products brand Trial, which raised $9 million in their Series A round. And then following this, we have Bengaluru-based used two-wheeler marketplace Beepcart, which raised $6.5 million in their Series A round. Next up, we have Chennai-based underwater robotics startup Planis Technologies, which builds robots that can inspect underwater structures like dams, bridges, and ports, and they raised $4 million in their pre-Series A round. And then finally, we have Shark Tank India famed Gurugram-based luggage bag maker Assembly, which has raised $2.1 million in their seed round. Now, before I let you guys go, we did talk quite a bit about Byju's in this video, and so I want you to go check out the video that we just made about the future of India's edtech industry, which gives a detailed analysis of why startups like PhysicsWallah won the battle against the likes of Byju's. And you can find a link to that video in the top right corner of your screen. Definitely go check it out. It was made by Pankaj, my co-host. I think you guys are really gonna like it. But either way, thank you so much for watching this news video, and I will catch you in the next one.